Then I will step back and watch it shine. And now, Reverend Tavarez.
This reading comes from a quote by Marianne Wilson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Let's take a moment to just let those words sit. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
As you've heard, my name is Reverend Ricardo Tavárez. It's actually Ricardo, but I'm not going to ask you to roll your R's like that. That's fine. Ricky, Ricardo, whatever is going to help you remember my name is good. I had a lot of fun putting together the message for today. Something about not having to preach at your own church just puts a little space and liberty. And so I'm actually going to share some readings from the book that was mentioned earlier, Drag Queen Preacher, and also tie it into a few scripture verses. But overall, the theme is about letting our light shine and thus so liberating ourselves and liberating others. You've heard a reading from Matthew already. I'm going to revisit that same chapter, chapter 5. And we're stepping into some really popular, famous words of Jesus. In chapter 5, it says, Jesus says to the crowds, he went up to the mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. And blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. And skipping ahead to verse 14, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. These words, common in our culture, I'm sure many of us here in the room have heard them before. And it feels a bit too familiar. And so I think we miss some of the teachings that Jesus is trying to give to the people under his tutelage. And so there is a version of these words sung by a group called Common Hymnal that sort of helps us reframe the familiarity that we have with some of these writings. And so in their lyrical way of presenting these teachings, they say, "Blessed are the ones who do not bury all the broken pieces of their heart. Blessed are the tears of all the weary, pouring like a sky of falling stars. Blessed are the wounded ones in mourning, brave enough to show the Lord their scars. Blessed are the hurts that are not hidden, open to the healing touch of God. And blessed are the ones who walk in kindness, even in the face of great abuse. Blessed are the deeds that go unnoticed, serving with unguarded gratitude." My favorite, "And blessed are the ones who fight for justice, longing for the coming day of peace. Blessed is the soul that thirsts for righteousness, welcoming the last, the lost, the least." These words of blessing being pronounced upon folks who are hurting in their full context help us to understand the words that come just a bit later. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Hear that you are the light of the world. There's nothing in the prior words that say you are the light because you are perfect, because you have the best education, because you got it all right, because you sit in the proper class of our culture. But no, you are the light just as you are, even in all of your brokenness, all of your meekness, and all of your longing, and all of your pursuit for justice. You are the light of the world because you are hungry, because you want something more, because you understand what it's like to have hurts and pains. The quote from Marianne Wilson that I shared earlier with you sits deep in my heart because I had to come to believe that for myself. Enter with me just a moment into a bit of a story of my life as to why I had to do some unlearning and reframing about God's light in me, or the light of the universe in me. Pégale fuego a ese hombre. These are the words my father shouts from his window as he drives our rusting Suzuki pickup truck to our storefront church. It's Sunday morning. My sisters have dawdled in getting primped for service. My tia and abuelita depend on us to get a lift to church, and they run perpetually on Latina time. Some of you know what that means, all right. And Papi isn't having it today. Since I am ready to go in my creased black pants and shoes, he tells me to get in the passenger side of the truck. He's leaving the women to their own devices. Mommy will show up in her minivan eventually, all the ladies in tow, and I'm sure Papi will be fuming because they'll most definitely be late. As our family, it's our unspoken job to set an example for the rest of the church. And tardiness does not uphold the proper standard. Papi is never the most patient person, and much less on Sunday mornings. He is the lead elder of the church. And I describe our church as a Spanish-speaking, inner-city, independent Brethren church plant. And if you want, I can unpack all of that for you later. But in essence, Brethren churches don't have pastors. They're governed by a body of elders. And functionally, however, my dad is the pastor. He started the church. He holds the key to the building, always gets there first, fills the pulpit. And it seems that whenever anyone has a question or problem in our church community, they come to him for prayer and guidance. In retrospect, I wonder how much of the responsibility my father holds is because he somewhat successfully navigates the systems here in the United States and West Michigan. Our church is composed of individuals and families from a variety of Latin American countries, and most of the adult church members are still learning the basics of the English language and doing their best to find their way through the country's immigration policies. Regardless, my family is still climbing its way to the coveted middle class along with the rest of them. And collectively, we are the church called Asamblea Evangelica. Even at age 11 or 12, I'm reasonably sure that the building our church rents for worship stands in one of the most disenfranchised areas of Grand Rapids in the mid-90s. I'm less sure on how the property owner gets away without making any desperately needed updates to the building. This is always evident in the colder months when our small congregation gathers around a portable kerosene heater to keep warm because a functional furnace simply does not exist. But where else can a startup church of Latin American immigrants and refugees afford to gather when its membership is composed of migrant farmhands and blue-collar workers? And so my father drives a city bus during the week, and on evenings and weekends he preaches and teaches those who are new to the faith. And my job as his son and an able youth is to keep the fire and the kerosene heater running and manage it well so that no one gets burned. I always internally collect the signs of hardship from our neighborhood and up Division Avenue as we head to worship. Boarded up buildings, cars on lawns, hoods up, refuse on the sidewalks, ladies on the block corners who aren't waiting for the bus. A general sense that this is not enough. And I'm collecting these visuals as usual when my father, with his window rolled down, shouts into the street. I'm caught off guard. "Light that man on fire," he says in Spanish. And I can't tell if he's joking or angry. What is he talking about? I catch sight of a man on the opposite side of the street. At least he appears to be a man to my young eyes. This person is determinedly walking south on the sidewalk, wearing a pink skirt, a crop top, and high heels with bright-colored eyeshadow and lipstick. Like with the neighborhood, I collect this image. I process it. A gay man is walking down the street, and my father is telling the world to light him on fire. For the rest of the short ride, I'm also processing a secret. I have been sitting and holding it for what feels like all my life, though really I've only discovered it in the last year. I've never been sure of the best time to bring it up, that I'm not like the other boys at church or school. They talk about the hot girls, and I pretend to be too Christian, too chaste to enter the discussion. I have to be an example. But the truth is my stomach stirs for guys and not girls. I know what I am. If I lacked the confidence to say anything about my attraction to men before, I am now terrified. Will people want to burn me too? We get to the church. Papi opens the door. There in the center of the room is the kerosene heater. I want to cry and ask, who will keep me from getting burned? Blessed are the ones who do not bury all the broken pieces of their heart. Blessed are the tears of all the weary pouring like a sky of falling stars. You are the light of the world. It's hard to come to terms with the idea that we can be light in a dark world when we've been so busy stuffing darkness into our own hearts and minds and suppressing who we are created and designed to be under layers of expectation, hurt, and pain and messaging that comes from the world around us that tells us over and over that we are not enough. Where do we find the courage? How do we even begin to let that light emerge? How do we begin to walk again in kindness and justice and seeking restoration when we have been feeling so broken in and of ourselves? We have to learn again to be who we are and allow ourselves to be beautiful, fabulous, unapologetically. In my own story, I had somehow, in the emergence of the internet in the 90s, come across that quote from Marianne Wilson. And when I could not verbally say the pains and harms that I had been dealing with in my own soul, I took those words from someone else, the bit of courage that I could find on a piece of paper, and I put a rainbow banner over them and taped them to the closet of my bedroom. And over, when I did not have the courage or the ability to stand up for myself and say who I was or be proud of who I am, I came to those words and was reminded that I should not be small, that I don't have to pretend to be anyone other than who I am. And even if all I could do was stare at my own closet wall, my own closet door, and confess in that small space to myself that I am beautiful. Even if that's all I could do in the moment, it was enough to be able to say it to myself. But the invitation is to go brighter, to help other people find their liberty through the light that we carry and who we are meant to be. Eventually, I found my own footing. Eventually, I dared to say who I was out loud. Eventually, I dared to say it pretty boldly with the wig on and some lipstick. And I began to push the boundaries just at first to be loud about it for myself, but then I realized that as I found my own light, as I found my own self-acceptance, I was creating bridges just like the words I've put on my closet to help other people voice for themselves, even just a little bit, who they are and to be proud of who they are. So since becoming a drag queen, my social media feed has become a network of wigs for sale, requests for makeup tips, digital flyers of drag bingos, and solicitations for available performers to reach out in connection for upcoming events. And the latter usually invites drag entertainers to send a direct message expressing their interest to the show directors or event planners connected with the performance opportunity. So in the spring of last year, I saw a quaint Facebook announcement about an upcoming Pride event in Newaygo, Michigan. And I remembered my sense of mingled delight and apprehension. Community organizers in the city of Newaygo were putting on a Pride festival in late June. I had spent some time in Newaygo while with an ex-partner who was raised there. And I do not know all the intricacies of the town, but I knew that the population was less than 3,000 people, and that it was the kind of place where you were only 2 degrees of separation from anyone else in the area. Taking measurement from the political signage I had seen the last few times I was there, I surmised that a pride festival would be welcomed by some locals and rejected by many. The Facebook post from Newaygo Pride simply read, "Any local performers interested in being on stage for Pride? Message us." Included was a digital graphic with a rainbow and the words, "Love out loud," all in lowercase. A town on a hill, 40 miles north of where I sat, was beginning to shine a beacon of light celebrating the humanity of the gay community. And for a moment, I thought to myself, this could be dangerous. And then I said, how delightful. Having performed in drag at bars, nightclubs, and big city pride events, I can tell you that a large crowd creates a fervor, like a wave of kinetic energy between human bodies reaching forward. In unity and in urgent excitement, there's a sense of LGBTQ plus liberty attained through the amassed people. But my experiences in small town places say that the energy flows differently in quieter locales. It's still good energy, but it feels scrappy. Like everyone arriving is fresh from the battle and knows that at any moment they'll be launched back into the choice of fight or flight. The risk is high for those pushing for LGBTQ plus inclusion, and so is their desire for change. I leaned into this kind of energy when I typed out a quick message naming my drag persona and a few details of my experience as a drag performer, letting whoever was on the other side of my keyboard know that I would like to be a part of their day. And it was months before I heard anything back. I knew that the organizers of Newaygo Pride had gone before their city council to advocate for their cause. But otherwise, I assumed that they made plans with other performers. But then I eventually received a message from Didi Shante, who would be thrilled that I'm naming her right now, asking me that if I was still interested in performing at the event. And Didi's a drag entertainer from Grand Rapids, and I was glad that to know that she had been recruited as the show director. So I replied with an affirmative yes. And a few days later, I was arriving at a park in downtown Newaygo. I arrived pretty early for a drag queen. Most of us are usually running late. And I find myself dragging all my things, my outfits, my glitter, my makeup, my wigs into a tent. And Didi informs me that the show will start in an hour or so, but that we are being requested to just walk around as drag performers and greet people through the park. And so I am excited about the opportunity, but also wondering how this is going to work out because it's hot, I'm sweating, I have multiple layers of body on, and I'm wearing 6-inch stilettos that keep getting stuck in the grass. But I go out and spend time with the people. And you could just see the excitement on folks' faces as they came up to greet me. For many of them, it was their first time meeting a drag performer. And they were so thrilled to know that there was representation, that there was a connection happening where there would be a celebration of their humanity. And one young lady about 15 or 16 years old comes up to me. And she quietly, almost whispering, says to me, "You are so beautiful." Now, I'm not going to lie, I had heard that many times before. But there was something so different about the way that she said it, the way that she approached me. It was almost like she was afraid. And so I leaned down and whispered back to her, and I said, "And you are so beautiful too." And immediately she starts to weep, almost like she had been waiting her entire life for someone just to affirm who she is, to let her know that it's okay, that she can be beautiful too in a broken world. And there we had our exchange of light. None of us are perfect, but we're invited to share what we have, even if it comes in broken pieces. I'll conclude by offering these words. One of the poems I have in my book. I promise it won't take long. The book is titled Drag Queen Preacher, and this poem is also titled Drag Queen Preacher. And I'm going to read it because I think it helps paint the picture. This is going to maybe take you out of your normal experience a little bit, but help you understand, or help us understand how to sort of reframe this call to be light. I meet a former sex worker in the dressing room. She's new to the city, Latina. We build a rapport together over our Latina and West Michigan experience. To my left is a queen that worked in human resources until she got let go. She speaks up against bigotry. She's got a loud voice and commands respect. Behind me, a performer bares his breast while changing attire. He speaks freely of transitioning, meaning his story is still being written, and he's not ashamed of his destiny. Over there, that girl is a therapist, as in she has real degrees and a day job. Okay, honey, work it and get me a referral. That young queen is new, searching for a mother. A seasoned queen that has been here for years helps the new girl adjust her wig. We all trade makeup secrets and borrow hairpins, laugh at the absurdity of nipples, sex, and family rejection, excommunication. And it feels like church, preparing to make a crowd of strangers feel invited into a place of belonging, to forget the pain of the world for just an hour. Yes, this is the church, and we are the preachers. Thank you.